What's up, everybody? It's your favorite crowd-funded companion pieces favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the HasLab Deathsaurus. This is on loan to me from Lord Darktoff himself. He sent this directly to me from HasLab, so I do appreciate that. You know, I'm looking at it before he even had the chance to, and, you know, that's not lost on me, so thank you, sir. Salute. And now, because I'm looking at it, we're all gonna look at it, like it or not. But in order to look at it, we have to first look at accessories. Alright, so I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not exactly sure the best way to cover these accessories. I'm not super familiar with this character. Obviously I've reviewed a few versions of him. I'm familiar with where he takes place in the lore and so forth, but I'm far from an expert, don't really care to be. It's just outside of my wheelhouse. So we're gonna take a look at, we got a little boat, we got a little ambulance. Alright, we'll start with the ambulance, and we got some blue paint on there, red paint on the lights. I haven't taken a look on how to transform this guy, but I'm sure it's not too challenging. So we're going to open that up here. We got something that moves down there. Awesome. And arms come down and around on little ball pegs. And that's kind of the extent of it, I believe. It looks like there might be able to, there should be something going on with this back piece here, but I don't think there is. So let's take a look at him. That's a little bit of spit, pardon me. You know, good enough, I would say. We have silver and blue paint on the eye. Actually, the red might be painted as well. There might be a fully painted head, rather. It doesn't look to articulate at all. I'm not 100% sure on that. The red chest is painted, and obviously the pad printed Autobot symbol is on there. We have ball pegs on hinges so they get up a little bit. You can get them out fairly far to the side, 360 around, and that's it for that. Then you have the hips, which are T-jointed ball joints. They get out to there, forward and back to there. You get a knee bend that's 90 degrees technically, and then an ankle tilt up and down. And that's this fella. Then you get his little motorboating friend here, and this piece comes up here, and legs come down. These bits, I guess, go back, form some support for the, and the arms come down. So similar transformation, except we have the extra hood. You know, and I think it's fine. Once again, the face, I think, is fully painted with silver and gray, as well as the blue visor. There is a swivel here, which makes me think that perhaps there's one on the ambulance as well. I just can't get to it, and I'm not comfortable pushing it to its limits. Red paint on the chest and on the pelvis. The arms are articulated the same way as the ambulance, but we do get little hands that are painted. Actually, this is white plastic, so all this blue is painted on, which is interesting. Swivel around, up to 90 degrees, no problem. Hips, get out to there. Forward and back to there with a 90-degree knee bend. You also get a swivel here on the ball joint, and that's about it. But, you know, for little fellas, I think they're decent. You have the two, what are they, breast masters, chest masters, whatever they're called. We have the gold chrome. These wings come separately, like you put them on yourself, which is interesting. I'm not sure if that's for better or worse, but that's how it is. Nice detailings with the red Decepticon symbol, some red paint down there as well. And then you get this one, which has the blue, black, and white paint on him, and then we have the black and gold paint there, which are nice enough. So to storm in his chest, he comes with this little chest plate here. It's spring-loaded, and I'm not exactly sure if it makes a difference, but if you put this in with the Decepticon symbol up, and then this one right behind it, obviously, with the Decepticon symbol up. I was going to say it stays a bit better, but it doesn't always stay perfectly. No matter, I've done it both ways, and I thought I had a little bit more luck with it that way. But this side has a tendency to want to pop out on mine. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, but I don't believe I am. And then from the back here, there's a little access port, and if you push on that, it'll pop those forward, and then you have access to them once again. Now, this fella also transforms into a bird of such, so these bits come out. They're his wings. And then those straighten, and then these spin out, I believe, but I'm having a hard time with them at the moment. There they go. There's one. There's the other. And then we have, let me get a spudger if I can find one nearby. His head comes out, as do these cannons here. The feet swing down. You can pull the handle up in there, and then the tail feathers, shake your tail feathers, flips around. The wings, they bend here, 1, 2 locations, and then these obviously can bend in and out or swivel in and out a bit. Same for the other side. The are on ball pegs, so you get outward movement. Actually, the toes are on little hinges, so you can get up and down. It's hard for me to show them. There you go. There's the downward movement, upward movement. The cannons can move about a bit. We have some silver paint on the face. The eyes aren't painted, which is weird to me, but the mouth can open and close as well. You're going to have to take my word for it because I don't want to scratch any paint. Oh, there we go. Got it. The mouth can open and close. The head can move up and down. It can swivel in addition. So it's pretty well articulated. The tail feathers can go up and down if you so desire. Pretty well articulated. Now you can also turn him to a gun, lowercase g in my opinion. Put his legs back, put his tail feathers back, flip down the handle. You can flip the head in, wings in, wrap the wings around to form the box, and there you have it, a gun. Which pegs into the palm of his hand, and then you wrap his fingers around. Now he transforms into an animal as well. We have to spread his wings here. These have a tendency to come out. It's the same for the bow and arrow. There's one. There's the other. At that point, you can bring down the rear legs and then spin them around to the back. You can bring the front legs down, and then on the back here, lift up, grab a hold of the barrel there, flip it out, and then you can have these up or however you want them, and you have his little cat mode. Legs are on ball pegs here at the front, and then you get an additional knee, which is nice. The back, you just get the knee. The tail gives you a little wiggle, no waggle, and the jaw does open to an extreme degree. So that's pretty cool, and then the eyes are painted red. Otherwise, kind of exactly what you would expect. Those are pretty frustrating, you know, but otherwise pretty cool. So this guy also turns into a weapon. I've taken the liberty of getting this started already because it's a bit of a tight connection. But take this piece, flip it over, and then on the bottom, you take this up, look for, where does this go here? This T right here inserts into the bottom of the kind of bat head. And then we're going to utilize, oh, there's one other thing we have to do. This is a little bit challenging as well. But you want to grab these orange pieces and slide them out a bit. It makes the chrome bits want to come off. And then we're going to utilize these two pegs here. And we're going to utilize these two female connections. But we have one more component, which is this orange arrow. And I suggest going ahead and getting it connected to your bat here. And then use your two tabs that we talked about and connect it onto the forearm. Pose up your other arm with it, and you can utilize it as a kind of bow and arrow. And that arrow can also be stowed on his back utilizing the larger peg, which is cool as well. He comes with a mace. It's actually pretty nice. It's a plastic chain, so it has a little bit of life and body to it. And then we have some gold painted down here at the bottom. It would have been nice to have a metal chain, but what are you going to do? And then it has the kind of spiked bit here at the end, the mace as it were. And yeah, no real complaints there. And he'll hold it by tabbing it into his palm, kind of like typical masterpiece style, and then his fingers curl around it. You can also store the mace by kind of putting in the handle first and then dropping the mace in, and you can kind of just store it all back here in this chicken bag. He comes with a swashbuckling sword as well. kind of like pirate in its style. The blade is painted silver, and then we have some gold accents down the bottom. It is cool looking. And he holds that the same way with the tab into the palm of his hand and the fingers wrapped around it. The sword can also be stowed here at an angle on his back, utilizing that peg. He also comes with this, which is multi-purpose. It has this blue paint on there, as well as this light blue with the black accents and the Tampo or pad-printed Decepticon symbol. You can have it just like this, completely open. Take his shoulder, flip this piece out, and then you can connect that onto it so he can have like this side arm shield, which is fairly traditional. But he also comes with this adapter piece that you can plug into here, and now he can hold it like a shield. Once again, tabbing into the palm of his hand in typical Masterpiece style. Now, this is also the tail of the chicken, so you just collapse this on itself and you have the tail mode. And then to utilize that for chicken mode, you just line up these two grooves here, slide it in, and then use your knees down here to kind of lock it in place. You have his monster rifle, which can be folded up like this, but you can also extend it. And as you do, be careful. There's a handle in here. See if we can't get there. There we go. And then it double hinges to collapse, and this will actually plug in and stay put. And then you have this kind of extended rifle, which will plug into the palm of his hand once again, typical Masterpiece style with his fingers wrapped around. The chicken can also utilize the cannon by using this tab here on his collarbone with that blue connection point. And then you can kind of have the arm wrapped in to man it, I guess. Which is nice enough, I suppose, if you need him to do such. He comes with a number of blast effects. These can be utilized the same way that all of them can. There's nothing new here, but you know, you can stack them. You can use each individually. You know, dealer's choice. Once you have them connected, they can go pretty much anywhere that makes sense. On any of the blasters. Also, like on the bird's mouth. You know, you can have your way with them, so to speak. And you get two, for what it's worth, 2 complete sets. Lastly, he comes with some display stand options. So you can do this with just the regular base. We got some kind of tech detail sculpted in, but no paint. And then you have this bit, which slides in. And this has 2 points of contact, so you can go either way. If we go this way, for instance, you'll notice the larger peg, which will go right into his backside. And then you can have him jumping or leaping or whatever you so desire, as well as kind of just standing and just have it for support. Now, you can also have this angled in the opposite way with the smaller peg facing forward. And they give you an adapter that you can clip on between his feet in chicken mode. And then you can have him sort of utilize the stand in that way too, which I think is of value. I think that's a cool way to flip it and make it work, and I'm not mad at it. But you can also utilize this for his throne. So bring this in, bring in the throne. The throne is done quite nicely. We have a kind of a purple airbrush paint around the bottom, and then the Decepticon symbol sculpted and painted up top. And then to get him in it, you just kind of want to sit him down in it, make sure that everything is kind of being situated properly. Open up his knee pads here. Bend his knees. And then you can close the knee pads back up, which is pretty cool. And then on the back of the throne, all of the accessories for the most part can be stowed. The bird can even be perched up top. I'll take the stuff off of you so you can see. Using the adapter, you plug the shield into the center. I'll let that sit there for a second so you can take a look at how it goes. The gun goes down into the bottom. It pegs in using that peg to that port. And then let's see what we have. I'll let you take a look at that for a second while I take off the mace, which has a port here. And then it utilizes the handle into that. We have just the sword remaining on that side, which pegs in there, and the arrow, which pegs into those two. Pretty smart stuff, pretty thoughtful stuff as well. And we'll get in tight on the head sculpt for Dennis. I'm leaving the chest plate and all those kind of accessories off in order to just go through the brass tacks of the kind of engineering of this figure. So the head, really some nice detailing. The face is painted silver. And then we have the white plastic for the crest there. I think the blue is painted on top of that. I believe. It's hard to tell. Then we have the gold chrome and then the red accents. So between the, of course, the crest here and the face, you know what we got. Silver and gold. That being said, the head is on a hinge swivel. The swivel works great. The hinge works okay. You get up to there, a little bit down. Not the best, but not the worst. We'll back out now. Take a look at these arms. So, detailings-wise, we have the black and white paint, red paint, gold paint. All of that looks nice. On the back here, I think this is a separate piece of plastic, the black, but then the red and the gray are painted on. Of course, the feet are painted, but we'll get to that later. We have red accents here, gold accents, and then the light blue accent. That all works nicely. And then nothing on the hand. So articulation-wise, we get up past 90 degrees, ratcheted 360 on a universal. You also get a butterfly joint that gets you way in front of the head, but it does begin transformation at a certain point. But it works nicely. Thigh. That's not a thigh. That's a bicep. But if it were a thigh, it would swivel. But because it's a bicep swivel. We have a single hinge knee that gets you past 90 degrees. Oh my God, dude. I'm going to go get checked out. I'm going to get checked out today. I'm having a stroke. Single hinged elbow that actually only really gets you 90 degrees, but because of the angle of the elbow, it might give you the slightest bit more. That's just the angle of the hinge. It's a smart little kind of workaround. Wrist, swivel, fingers, base pen, knuckle. Real quick, the fingers are on a base pen knuckle, but you get movement in 2 sets of 2. I'm not sure if that does a whole lot more than just having them all the same, but it is slightly different. It's a tight little disconnect here. Once you get it, you're good, but this one was the same way. All right, we have waist swivel. We have ab crunch. Limited, but it is there. Chest detailings without the crest, but who wouldn't use the crest? But we have the blue and black detailings as well as the Decepticon symbol sitting there. We'll go ahead and address the wings. So they flap, they raise. And you have nice black paint on top of red here. Black. I think this is 2 separate pieces. This piece is black, and then you have the Decepticon symbol. Looks good. All right. Hip skirts, they get up and out of the way. We do have some paint accents there on the pelvis with some red and silver. Ratcheted universals for hips. Get you the full Van Damme, actually past it, to be fair. And the full Monty. So no issues. Thigh swivel. No paint on the hips or on the thighs. Ratcheted knee for 90 degrees. We get down into the lower legs where some of the aesthetics start to really fall apart for me. I don't like the plastic choice that they chose for this. It looks cheap. It's that swirly type plastic. They use it on Marvel Legends a lot. Just not my favorite. It depends, right? Like I've seen some people do it and have it look good. It almost looks like marble, but it can also look cheap, and this is an example of the latter. Gold and red, blue and gold, and it looks good. Ankles. So you have a pretty significant rocker, and actually, maybe that's it. And then a toe tilt down, but it doesn't really count because the heel will collapse. But I guess if you pull the heel up inside the foot, you could get a more toe tilt just for a cheat, for a pose or something, that would work. But, not the greatest range of motion. And there he is from the back, relatively clean, I'd say. So it's a decent figure. The nuts and bolts are kind of there. I wouldn't say that there's anything exceptional necessarily. I think sometimes with, crowd-funded stuff or, the more premium stuff, I think a lot of us had the expectation that it's going to be something above and beyond. I don't really get a whole lot of above and beyond just from the nuts and bolts presentation of the figure. I know there's more paint here than usual, but it doesn't necessarily strike you that way if you compare it to something that's kind of like, more premium than usual, like their Magnus or their Motormaster, which was both knockouts in their own right. This doesn't feel like leaps and bounds beyond that to me personally. Doesn't mean it's bad, just doesn't make it necessarily feel special. Does that make sense? Let's do some size comparisons. Now, I don't really collect this line, but hopefully this will give you an idea of where he fits in with your collection size-wise. It's a big robot, not for nothing. All right, let's get him transformed. So we'll disconnect the arms, bring them down. You can actually rotate them around and then rotate, I think, the arms around like that as well. We're going to do the same on this side. Down, spin around 180, and then spin again 180. And then you can take these wings. They come and rotate forward, both sides. Then the bark, bark, chicken, chicken, bark, bark, chicken head comes up over top, pegs in, and we can get his arms out as well on this side. You open this, fold out his arms. They plug into the side, which forces you to rotate them around. Once again, they come out to the side, which forces you to rotate them around. And then these swivel in and then connect in the center. Whoop. And I just got to make sure they're lined up properly. All right, then open up these panels down here. Flip that up and over. You can kind of just collapse those. Then flip your feet up. And same on this side. Up, 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 over, collapse the feet. And then these come up. Undo the knees. Sorry about that if you can't see. Let me back out a little bit. Same on this side. Undo the knees. That frees up that joint. And then you can lock. Oh, no, not yet. Sorry. You can tab those in. And on the other side here, you can just flip those over, and you can bring these down, tab them in. It's a soft connection, which is not preferred. Tab those in, bring your arms down, and then you want to rotate them around. Open up this panel, flip the fist in, bring down your dog paws, and then this needs to come at like a 90-degree angle because there's a little key here that needs to clip around the blue part, and then you spin and spread the toes. So same on this side, spin 180 at the bicep. Lift this piece up here, collapse the hand in, bring down the bird feet to about 90 degrees so that it can capture it, and then swivel the talons and spread them, so to speak. Collapse the forearms into the shoulders on both sides. I'll clean it up. We'll take a look at it. And there it is. And I think it's fine. There's parts of it that don't feel really solid to me. I don't know. Let's go through it a bit. So the head, we have a swivel up here at the top of the neck. This piece will cover down as need be, which is cool. Eyes are painted red. Beak is painted gold. Mouth does open and close, which is nice. The arms are on a universal, so you get out to there, and then the 360 around, and then you have an elbow joint as well on a single hinge, so that works nicely, or nice enough anyway. The wing articulation remains the same, and then we just have the arm articulation, which is the same, except you lose the bicep swivel and the elbow. Now, you can start to use the elbow, but it does work itself out a bit, but I don't think it's a big deal. You can still utilize it. Down here, you get this lower ankle joint times 2. I guess it's knee and an ankle, and then the talons do spread and collapse a bit. I kind of wish you could get a wider stance there as well. This, to me, seems unfinished. Like, it just seems like you have all these flaps, you have all these open spaces. They probably could have done something to fix that. I also have an issue with these white pieces kind of constantly coming untabbed, which is a bit of an issue. But otherwise, I guess it's fine. I don't know. I've seen them do kind of good stuff recently at expensive price points, of course. You get an ankle swivel as well. And I don't know if this feels crowdfunded to me. I don't know if this feels like, I keep saying it, I feel like, but I don't know if this feels special. I think this is fine. I think this is a decent enough release. It just doesn't feel special to me. I think Star Saber had a bit of that too, but even that feels a bit more special than this. That's not to say it's bad. It just feels kind of average in comparison to what they've been putting out recently in the larger scale. And there it is with Tiger Tracks. Final thoughts-wise, let's start with the negatives. My biggest issue is getting that chest plate to stay stuck in. I'm not sure if it's my copy or if I'm doing something wrong, but it's not the easiest connection. It has a tendency to want to push out against the side pieces and pop out one corner of the chest plate. And he just doesn't have the same sort of presence without it. Now, I know you can do the thing with the bow and arrow and all that kind of stuff, and all that stuff's cool, but not as cool as it looks with the chest plate on, in my opinion. I don't like the plastic they used for the lower legs, nor the white plastic that they used for a lot of the abdominal areas, as well as the kind of chicken head, chicken, because it just doesn't have the same sort of quality look that the other plastics tend to. That's a subjective critique, but it's my critique to be had. While most of the articulation does work well, you would think that with something that was more premium, everything would work great, including a wider range ab crunch, deeper elbow bend, deeper leg bend, more head articulation. Like, everything here is kind of basic, but you're not supposed to be paying for a basic figure. Do you know what I mean? You're supposed to be paying for something more premium, and I'm not sure if it comes across. That's not to say it's bad, it just doesn't feel premium in that way. And those kind of connection points, like I was talking about with the Chessmaster, like, they kind of follow this thing all the way throughout its transformation, getting the softer white plastic to connect nicely with the gray plastic, as well as those gray panels that feel like they could cover down on more if they were given the opportunity to, but instead the whole thing kind of goes just left looking a bit unfinished. And I'll be honest, it's like one or two things, but those one or two things just keep popping up throughout the entire interaction with this thing. Those softer plastics that don't do much for aesthetics, nor for the enjoyment of transformation, and a couple little tolerance parts. And that's all I got. Positives-wise, let me say this. I love not only the amount of accessories that he comes with, but how well they integrate into everything. It's very thoughtful. They obviously spent a lot of time. Actually, let me fix this because that's going to get on my nerves. They obviously spent a lot of time and thought regarding how they were going to make it work and how they were going to make it look and how they were going to utilize them all. That's not lost on me. That's effort, and I acknowledge it every time I see it. I think the majority of the figure has a ton of accents and aesthetic choices that make it look more interesting than perhaps it actually is. Like the chrome kind of crests are a nice touch, both on his head and on his chest. All the gold metallic paints. We have plenty of glossy paints, but the extra little metallic paints along the way add a lot to it. The red and black stripes on the wings, little stuff like that. Like, a lot of the aesthetics really pop, and it helps bring the figure to life, especially with some of the plastics that look a little cheaper that we've already kind of talked about. I think the majority of the articulation is there. It's nothing special, but it's enough to get you what you want. It just doesn't feel premium, but it's basic and it's fine. Do you know what I mean? I like the ratchets in the hips and in the shoulders. I think the sculpt work is pretty good. Not only like the line detail work, but like the face sculpt and such. Materials feel fair. Nothing outside of the ordinary, but what you would expect from Hasbro. The actual engineering of the transformation, I think, is good. In fact, I think it's pretty smart and clever, and they make choices, simple choices, that a lot of other third-party companies didn't make, that do make for a more successful enjoyment of transformation, if not entirely successful in sticking together. I can't express enough how much I love the accessories and how much was kind of put into making sure they are utilized all over the place. I love the display stand. I love the throne. I think all of that actually makes the piece feel a little bit more special than it actually is, which is one of my bigger gripes throughout. So if you can get this thing around what it kind of crowdfunded for, I think that you'll be happy, but if this ends up going for ridiculous prices, like a lot of this stuff ends up going on the HasLab stuff, I personally wouldn't pay too much more for it. I think it's worth its purchase, but only at a retail level, if that makes sense. And that's all I got. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.